Can't see this thing 1544, Villainous CULTure, Muh Russia's father, Egyptologist's lies matter. This is a series where I summarize rantatonne posts made up of at least 3 things I've read, seen, or heard. First question, who would steal thousands if they could earn billions? Double dipping a bit here from yesterday by posting the Little Platoon's reviews of episode 1 and 2 of the Ironheart show and adding this video game Relooted. Because in this video game, supposedly it's a South African video game where some Africans go and reloot things from Western museums and bring them back to Africa. I'm assuming that in the game, they've handled the fact that Africa is not a country, so maybe they do some kind of system where they go to like the British Museum and they say, okay, this is from this location geographically. That's where the country called Ghana actually is now. Then they go and find the actual tribe that thing came from and give it back to those people versus giving it to the governments of the countries. They may also handle how the regions that are currently at war won't be getting their artifacts back. Maybe they'll be held in some escrow sort of thing. Because I think most reasonable people can agree that if most of these artifacts remained in their locations of origin, they would not have made it to the present as they are today. What's more interesting to me is how do you track ownership of the actual thing? If the premise is that because we're living on the African continent, we can take what a few artisans, 0.0001% of the artisans hundreds of years ago did, something that we consider valuable, so we will take it back. Are you going to also say that because we're living on the African continent, we're going to take what 0.001% of African tribes did by catching other Africans and selling them off to the slave trade? We're going to take responsibility of that, or are we going to go further and say we got to go to like the United States of America and get everything all the black people, descendants of slaves, have done, all the profit, all the wealth that they've amassed, and then bring that back to Africa because it's actually owned by Africans? Or since you've owned that liability of the guilt, does Africa owe those black people reparations for what their African ancestors did? And I don't know, maybe there'll actually be some DLC or an expansion of this game where they finally handle the Arab slave trade and go to the Middle East and see if there's any artifacts there and see what the Middle Eastern governments say about returning anything they still have. Next question, did the first black president frame the bad orange man? On topic here, this was a situation where some Kenyans were taking, I think, unjust ownership of Barack Obama. It's like, oh, he's a Kenyan president. He's not Kenyan. His dad was an absent father. He was raised by his Irishish mother in Asia. And for political designation, he is American. I posted his recent appearance on his wife's podcast where they were talking about boys. And I was thinking, with this like regressive leftist sort of ideation, you have to be as an ex, as a black person, I speak about black people things. As a woman, I speak about women things. So why would a girl dad like Obama be allowed to speak about the plight of boys being raised in the United States of America? But then you think about it, maybe speaking about from his point of view when he was a child, being raised by a single mother, so he had to search out male role models in society versus having a present father who also has male friends who form the core group of role models for a boy in a more stable nuclearish family sort of arrangement. Then there's also a mention of unearthing some files on Muh Russia again that I don't think anything is going to come from. Obama's going to skate on that. Last question, are white people the only ones invested in Egyptology? In this section, I posted Thinking Granite video, which is a channel of someone who just has a passion for Egyptian history and just learning more about the pyramids and informing people. And then you contrast that with the actual Egyptians and Egyptologists who, due to claims of ownership, have monopolized the field and the location and the sites and just keep spreading misinformation and disinformation. And it just frustrates me. Just the same way black history is part of American history, African history is part of human history. I don't care about the happenstance of birth or the person who actually cares and values artifacts and wants to share that information with the rest of humanity in the most effective way possible. Let's find ways for that to be done.